Hello, 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 hello. Hey, y'all. I am so happy to be on again tonight. I have quite a few questions that folks have already sent to me. And so I'm going to go ahead and start with those questions. And it's mainly questions that were answered or asked on the comments on my last few videos, or definitely sent to me in LinkedIn Messenger, IG Messenger, whichever. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the answers to those because tonight, I'm definitely going to have to only give us 30 minutes. I can't go over 30 minutes. I have a meeting with my church, a Zoom meeting. So I definitely can only do 30 minutes. I'm sorry. I don't want to rush anyone. So that's why I'm going to jump on now and start answering the questions that were already sent to me. So if I'm answering one of your questions, please tap in the chat and just let me know if it's, if you got the answer, if you just heard it. If not, if you missed your answer, then this live will definitely be up so you can watch it at any time. So don't feel pressured like you have to watch it right now. You can definitely watch it at any time. If you come on, I probably won't answer your question like later in the live if there's other questions, but I don't mind going back to them. So the first question that I got was my least favorite area of HR and why. So my least favorite area of HR is payroll. It's not, payroll in many places are separated, but in many places it's together. If it's together or separated, HR and payroll intertwine so often. So I used to say that I hated recruiting, but I realized that I don't mind doing recruiting if it's for an organization that I'm passionate about and that I feel that I'm not like trying to sell, like I'm not a salesperson selling you a lemon. So as long as I can be truthful, I don't mind doing recruiting. But anyhow, I have a very transparent way of recruiting. So it's grown on me. But my least favorite is payroll. I hate it. I don't want to mess up nobody's paycheck. So my most favorite areas of HR is, and that's the second question. So that part is benefits. I enjoy benefits. I feel like this is the part where the company gives back to the employee and the employee can see it like live and in action through, if that is like, milestone gifts, if that's through a bonus annually or a bonus ever so often, if that's through really nice rates for your insurance company, if that's matching you dollar for dollar up into 6%, 10% or something like that. Like, I just like that I can easily tell an employee, like, hey, the company's giving back to you. All right, so another question that I had, and I think that this one came from Cardell. So I'm hoping he's able to get on. He's sometimes in the car driving. So I hope he's able to get on. But his question was the difference between master's degrees. So he had two questions. I answered one in the comments, and I told him I answer this one now. So his question was a master's of science in HR management, organizational development, and HR development. Like, what is the difference between those two? And I think his question first started about management and organizational development. And it was so odd that he asked me that because I literally just read an article that said that the new name for human resources coming up in the future is going to be organizational development. So I don't know how I feel about that. I need a little bit more information to say. I think it should say human resources. We were personnel for forever. And so I think people are still getting comfortable with what human resources is. So now we're going to throw on them, something all the way different. I don't agree with that. But a master's of science in HR management means that your specialty is going to be either managing departments or managing people or managing processes, but it's going to be managing, and that's your focus. So I think that that's more aimed to the larger organizations that need more of like project management and things of that nature, if it's not just a large organization with a ton of people. But organizational development is helping the organization to grow. So if that's by employees, if that's by structure, if that's by revenue, and making sure that you're constantly tying in the human resources aspect into that growth. So it's more of definitely a strategic role whenever you get that master's degree. I'm going to try to go live on IG too, y'all. I ain't too good with this. I know y'all tired of hearing me say that, but it's so true. I struggle with going live. Alrighty. The next question that he had, or the next part to that question, was a master's in HR development. And so HR development is you're developing strategies, you're developing your staff, you're developing, your plan is to see something start at one area and to grow out to another area, and hopefully to see it develop a lot better than it started at. So I don't know if this was a reason for his question, but I'm gonna just toss out my feelings about them, like each one of them. Give me just 2 seconds, y'all. I almost need like a second person back here to help me with this. I ain't good at this stuff. And the last time I thought that I went live, and I don't think I went live after I got off. All right, here we go. I think I got it. Nope. But I personally, a master's. Oh, you know what? I knew how to do this. Alrighty. So a master's to me is a master's. Like, if you're doing a master's degree, honestly, it really shouldn't matter what type of master's degree in human resources you have. My phone is so cloudy over here. It shouldn't matter. A master's is a master's. And I'm gonna tell you, it shouldn't matter now. Human resources is still very new. So whenever someone sees that you have a master's degree, like, they're just happy that you took it that far. There's so many people that learn on the job. There's so many people that, and there's so many places that still don't offer a bachelor's in HR. And so just to say that you have a master's in HR, they assume that you know way more than they even need you to know, because a lot of companies don't know how much they need HR. But I'll tell you, for me, I'd be embarrassed to say this because I feel like I was just doing too much. But I went into grad school, got an MBA, and then I was working on HR management master's degree, right? And when I realized how close I was to having a double degree, I just went ahead and took the rest of those classes. And then I realized how close I was to having an HR development, a master's in HR development degree. And so I went ahead and took the classes for that too. And I think that took me like another semester or two to finish. And so I really have 3 master's degrees. I don't tell people that because I'm like, I hate when people are like, why do you have 3? I didn't need 3. I did the most. I mean, if I had to do it over again, I would have stopped with the 2 degrees because I feel like business helps me a lot with HR management. But I have a master's in business administration, a master's in human resources management. I also have a master's in human resources development. So it doesn't matter. You got a master's, you got a master's. Okay, the next question. So this question number 4, and if y'all have a question, just put them in the chat. Like, seriously. Can you please come on my YouTube live, sir? I can't with you. And so the next question is HR development different from organizational development? It really kind of isn't right now. I mean, unless you get into a massive organization. So you get into something like Walmart, you get into something like maybe Bank of America, you get into something like Wells Fargo, you get into like these massive organizations where you get into the HR department and there are hundreds of HR people, then it becomes more specialized depending on the vision of the organization. But when you're talking about companies that are like 5,000-10,000 employees or less, then honestly, organizational development and human resources development are like so parallel that you can literally merge them together. My only difference is like with organizational development, a lot of times organizational development professionals do not know the HR piece of it, but the HR professionals normally know the organizational development piece of it. So kind of crazy. Thank you, George, for your excitement. If you get your master's, does that change your title like for PhD? No. I needed to go to doctorate school. So George's question, which George should be on YouTube and not on IG. I'm getting off of IG in like 2 minutes. So, but his question was, if you get your master's, does that change your title like it does for a PhD? And it doesn't. So my title, I guess this is a good example. My title already has Master's in Business Administration, Human Resources Management. I would just add HRD on the end. Literally, that's it. So I was just showing them what you already know. MBA, HR Management, HRD. And I just felt like that was just roadkill. Now, if I had gotten a PhD and went and got my doctorate in human resources, then that would change me to Dr. Tamika Green with all these letters behind. Cool? All right. So the next question that I had, and this is oh shit. I did good. I ain't cursed all the way. But the next question I had from someone, I cannot pronounce your name, ABHNIAB. Which certification is right for him? And this is his scenario. I'm coming to you, Brittany. His scenario is he has 3 years of work experience in human resources. He's in his first semester of getting his master's in business administration. And he wanted to know which level of the HR certification or which HR certification should he get. So his question was, should he get the PHR through HRCI or should he get the SHRM SCP through SHRM? To be honest with you, you can get either the PHR through HRCI, the SHRM through SCP, or the SHRM CP through SHRM. Sorry, let me back up. He can get the PHR through HRCI. He can get the SHRM SCP or the SHRM CP. So for those of you who may not know, SHRM SCP is senior certified professional. CP is certified professional. And honestly, he can get either one. And if it was me, obviously, I guess that wasn't me the second time I went around, but if it was me, I would go for the SHRM SCP. The PHR is going to, just like the CP, is going to give off the impression as though you are a seasoned person in HR, but not necessarily a leader. But if you have SCP, then most folks can know that you can do everything there is to do in HR in addition to leading that department. So hope that answered your question, and I'm going to try to find it in the comments and reply, but otherwise, it is here on the live. I definitely answer your question. If you're on the chat, definitely let me know. But if I were you, with the 3 years of work experience in HR and working on your first semester in your MBA, I would go for the SHRM SCP. It's going to be a little bit difficult because some of the questions are scenario questions, but it gives you all the experience you're looking for. Like instead of you just knowing terms and the formulas and the basics, now you're showing that you know how to push that out into the organization. So Brittany Coleman, her question is, I'm currently an HR recruiting coordinator, and I'm looking to eventually venture into employee relations. Any tips on how to make that transition? I'm thinking I should get a SHRM certification. So Brittany, I love the fact that you're on here, but I welcome you because you're new, I'm thinking, because I definitely made it clear that if I were you, I would wait to get that certification until you get the employee relations job. Because honestly, and the only reason I say that is because half the organization pay for it. Like, that's my biggest thing. Like, don't go out here spending all your duckies, and at the end of the day, they make a ton of money. You're using it for your organization. Have them pay for that. Once they pay for that, it's not like they can ask for the money back. So it's yours. But I would definitely. Oh, yay, George, you on here? I'm gonna go back there in a second. What's up, Lamar? That's my cousin, y'all. Come on YouTube if you don't mind. And same thing to Elevator Your Home with Ash. But yeah, I would say that. And you know, I'm guessing you want to go into employee relations because you really feel like you know, that's the area that you enjoy. But I will tell you that if you were to get your certification, before you get the employee relations position, then, I mean, what difference is it going to really make? Honestly, I see so many employee relations professionals who either aren't certified or they may have a degree or they have a ton of experience. But it's not like the minute you get that certification, now the employee relations job is going to just fall into your lap. It's just not going to happen. Go hard and get the job first. And while you're going hard to get the job, let's say you get out of recruiting and you go to work into another facet of HR, it's going to give you the employee relations experience before people look at you as the expert. So you go and throw those initials on your name and run into that position, but not really have the experience. Now folks are going to second guess you and your credentials. Employee relations come with some experience because one, employee relations, primarily if you're not like in southeastern states, is primarily going to focus on unions. Unions take a lot of the experience because unions are all different depending on the industry. They offer different things, they provide different assistance, and they are going to forever bogart their way in between you and the employee. So it's going to feel like you really ain't doing HR with the employee, you're doing it with the union. And they're going to already make rules where you got to abide by for everybody. So you look at companies like UPS, you look at companies, and I feel like we just talked about this on the last live, but you look at companies like Boeing, the one in Washington State, not the one in South Carolina, because there are two. One has the union coverage and one doesn't. So South Carolina is an at-will state. That's the reason Boeing came here, just in case y'all don't know, and for the tax breaks. But anyhow, that's primarily your focus. Now, if you work in a state where they're at-will or where they don't have a union for that organization, then guess what? Now you can truly work on employee relations, and a lot of that is going to be managing relationships. And I'm gonna be honest with you, primarily in my career, there are two areas. So you either gonna have two employees that stuck in an office together, or stuck in a close vicinity, or stuck working very closely together and they don't get along, or you're gonna have managers who don't know how to talk to their employees. That gonna be all your employee relations right there. So many inexperienced managers. Like, I wish it was just where I work, but no, it's all over. Oh, thank you, George, for the compliment that I'm so insightful. I appreciate it. But Brittany, I'm happy that made sense because I don't want to. I'm just a realist and I'm transparent, and I don't believe in lying to people. I don't want to tell you for a second, oh yeah, girl, go get that certification. You go get that job. No. Let the people pay for that. All right, y'all. So George did have another question. So they are not going to call me back. I stopped with them. Okay, y'all, come over. I don't know how many of y'all on here. I appreciate y'all for coming on IG. But I just did this so you guys can know to come and find me on Hey HR on YouTube. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm getting y'all off. Find me on Hey HR YouTube. All right. Boop, boop, boop. Done. But yeah. All right. Baker Ben. Oh, were you baking, my friend? Okay, Baker Ben says, this is my first time making it to one of your lives. Yay! Welcome. We're so happy you're here. Would you mind talking about the moment you realized that you're in the right field or doing what you actually want to do? I'm so happy you asked that. I was actually going to do it on my YouTube channel about it, and I want to talk about it so bad, but people want to hear other stuff. But I'm so happy you asked. To be honest with you, I mentioned this just for a tad bit in the last video, but I always thought that I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be an OBGYN. And the only reason I picked that is, one, I want to work with people. I want to help people. But I remember that my 5th grade career teacher said, technology is going to take over the world by the time you guys get into the workforce. So find a career where like a machine can't do your job. So I figured machines can't deliver babies. Went into undergrad and figured, well, I'm still going to go ahead and try to be a doctor. That was my plan. I went to college and started. I figured I needed to get a bachelor's degree and then go to med school at MUSC. So I started getting a bachelor's in science at College of Charleston, and then I became a survivor of domestic violence. And that happened right after I gave birth to my daughter, who's 17 now. And so it was very difficult to manage being a parent, being only the second person in my generation to like go this far in my education, and also to look at, okay, when I'm done with this 4 years, I got to do another 4 years. And I was like having to go to court a lot, did a lot of counseling. I hope I don't get all emotional, but I went through a lot. And that made me say, okay, well, I'll go to nursing school, because I found out that I can get my bachelor's degree, dive right into the local tech school here, do a year or two, and I'll be done. And I can be a nurse that helps deliver babies. Well, I went into nursing school, was full blown in nursing school, paying for it out of pocket, working like a crazy woman, and was working as a nursing assistant at MUSC, and I hated it. I hated going to school and I hated going to work. I hated both, like with a passion. And so I was not doing well in nursing school because I couldn't get it. I wasn't comfortable in it. I never had a challenge in academics before. Talked to my sister about it when I was having a midlife crisis, and my sister, all right, a moment in my life that was a crisis, not a midlife crisis, but anyway, to graduate school. And I said to her, I was like, no, graduate school for smart people. And she said, Mika, you smart. She was like, and I've always seen you in business attire and not strubs like you wearing. And so I said, really? I said, so I'm going to apply to 3 graduate schools. Whichever one take me first, I'm going. That had told me that I needed to, that they would, no, they declined me, I believe. I mean, I was going to be on a probationary period because my grades had suffered during the moment that I was kind of experiencing not only being a parent, but also struggling through like literally saving my life. And so I went to graduate school, started with my MBA, and needed extra classes to like gen ed type classes. A girlfriend of mine who we used to work together, now we're in graduate school together, she said, take HR, I like it. And so my first HR class, I walked in there and everything clicked to me. Everything clicked. It made sense. Oh, sorry, yeah. It made sense of how it was going to work in the workforce. The schoolwork made sense. I enjoyed doing the assignments. And I just immediately was like narrow-minded, saying, I'm going to work in HR. I was working in government contracting at the time, and saw a sister of color who was the HR manager or recruiter or what have you. And I asked her about it, and she said she enjoyed it, and she gave me some tips, which this is why I'm giving tips back to other folks, because she kind of gave me some tips to help me move forward. And from my first HR job, I've always loved it. I enjoyed every part of it. If it was a challenge, whenever I bump into something I didn't know, I was running to like look for the answers. And that told me I'm doing what I enjoy. This got to be my passion. And like every part that I do in HR, first of all, I think critical all the time. And that tells me this is my passion. So I just knew from the classes in grad school that I absolutely loved it. And I think my first class was like writing job descriptions. It was so basic. And then we went into employment law, like everybody else, we used to do classes at night. Everybody like falling asleep, and I'm like asking more questions. A sister of color was our instructor, and she was also a local judge. And so I was just asking a bunch of questions. Mika, you love this stuff. I was like, nah, I love HR. So I just loved it. And I felt it in my spirit, and I am just forever grateful. So sorry for the long story. Cordell, I answered your question. Not sure if you answered my question, but do employees value different masters more? So no. And I'll answer that for you again. I'll answer questions for you again. Answer this question for you again. Let me find the notes real quick, because I did do some notes so I wouldn't get all these letters confused. But honestly, like I was telling them earlier, and it's at the very beginning of this live, a master's degree in HR is huge. Most people that hire you, because they're going to be the CEO, the vice president of whatever, the chief officer of whatever, the chief financial officer, the VP of finance or whatever, they don't even know what they need. Like, they don't even know the differences between these master's degrees, honestly. Like, they're happy that you have it. So many people, I think that I can truly say, and I wish I had the stats to say, like the data, there are less people that work in HR that have a master's degree anyhow. Most people either have a ton of experience, they got a bachelor's degree, or they have a certification. A lot of people don't have a master's degree in HR. That's such a new thing. And when I say new, like in the last, 10 years or so. And so if they see you have a master's degree, people will automatically see that you are devoted to it. So a master's degree in HR management is just managing people, managing processes. Master's in organizational development is managing the organization's development. And that's whatever vision they have created for themselves. So if that's employee growth, if that's revenue growth, if that is dynamic growth, like maybe they want different things that they've never had at the organization to make the organization go better. So that's going to be organizational development. And then a master's in HR development is you're developing the HR systems, the HR processes, the HR people specifically. So I will tell you, and like I just told them already, that I don't really tell people this a lot, but I actually have 3 master's degrees. So I have an MBA, I have a master's in HR management, I have a master's in HR development. And to get from the HR management to add on the HR development degree, I only needed like 3 classes, I believe, 3 to 4 classes. I think 3 classes. It really wasn't that much of a difference. You're getting the knowledge anyhow. So don't bust your brain on which one to get. If I were you, I'd probably get the cheapest one. Whichever one gonna take me the quickest to finish, and whichever one is has classes that I'm interested in. Pay attention to the classes because that'll help you get through the degree. If you look at classes and you're like, oh, this sounds interesting, or I like this, pick it according to what you feel you can accomplish and what you feel you can be successful in. Because the organization will love it anyhow. They're going to love the fact that you have a master's degree. So, George, can I be successful if I type? So, George, George on here playing around. I appreciate his support, but don't y'all pay attention to these questions. You probably could. I mean, and I know he's saying that because I type fast, but that's a lot of typing, George. So you need to learn how to type if you want to work in HR. Unless you're going to be like dictating and having your admin do it. But Carter, I'm so happy you were able to get on because I wanted to answer that question in person. I hope I answered your other question. I think you said I did. But don't bust your brain over those tedious stuff. The biggest thing is just like Brittany, get your foot in the door. Like Brittany's already a recruiter. She probably gonna be the first person to know when another HR position is open or they created a position. And so just get your foot in the door and start working in it. To be honest with you, I always thought I wanted to be a benefits specialist. And I don't need a master's degree for that, but I did have one. And now I'm like, no, I really like all facets of HR except payroll. So as long as I'm not doing payroll, I'll do any part of HR they give me. Analyst, whatever. As long as the paycheck right, obviously I'll be looking for the coins. So I ain't coming in here giving y'all all these letters behind my name for, $10 an hour. We ain't doing that. But y'all have any more questions? I feel so bad to do this to y'all, but in 5 minutes, I do have to get off. And I said this at the beginning, so I feel bad for the people who are already on here. Let me just be clear. I feel bad repeating this, but I have to get on a church call. I do the finances for my church. And if you guys are in the AME church, I'm also on the steward board. And so we have a couple calls that's going on, and our conference year ends in September. So we're doing a lot of stuff for end of the year stuff. So I really am going to have to get off and get on a Zoom call for that. But yeah, Bigger Ben, I don't like payroll. I don't want to mess up nobody's paycheck. And when I don't want to mess up anybody's paycheck, that's the first thing. And then when I realized that every time I talk to a payroll person, they'll be like, well, Tamika, I need this before I can process payroll at all because we process it all at once. And when I realized that, if I mess up somebody else's paycheck, I mess up my check too. No, I don't want to do it. Now, I'll do the changes I need. So if I have, a qualifying event or I have something that's going on, like a new employee coming in, one retiring or one resigning or one being fired, whatever, I'll do those changes that I need for HR, quarterly 401k changes or however often your 401k changes, adding on benefits like PTO, what have you. Like, I'll do those things. But I ain't messing with no pay runs. No pay runs for me. Amen, Brittany. We love the Lord, girl. Listen, without him, we'd be nothing. Amen. Amen. And I mean that with everything in me. You're so welcome, Cardell. You're so welcome. Again, I'm so happy you came on. I appreciate it. I appreciate the love. I appreciate you guys watching my videos. And I definitely, I'm going to say this real quick for the last 3 minutes. Y'all, I had a trying ass day today. And I was tired. But I refused to not jump on because, one, I definitely wanted to answer these questions. I'm not a woman who don't stick by my word. But today I earned every dollar they give me on that job. First of all, I went to the gym on Tuesday and did too much, leg hurting and all kind of stuff. And second of all, we're short-staffed like everybody else. And so we had a department that's truly suffering. And one person in that department, and she's a diehard for the organization, and she hasn't really been able to have more than a half a day or 1 day off in weeks. And so when I found out she was in the department by herself, I was like, listen, you're going to have to teach me, but I'm on the way. And so in between helping her, I was also doing things I had scheduled, like interviews, or luckily I had already did all my meetings or whatever. But y'all, I'm tired. Like, my legs are hurting. But that's how transparent of an HR leader I am. Like, I'm not going to hire people into positions that I, one, haven't at least watched people do so that I can give a thorough idea of. And if I can step in and help, like, that's what we do. You just never get too high where you don't help the next man. And I just don't feel like I always start all of my HR emails whenever I'm sending them out to the department, the organization, whatever. All of my emails for years start with, hey, team, regardless of what organization I am in. And I always feel like wherever I work, we're a team. So I was tired as hell from that, y'all. Oh, my God, they worked me to death, which is cool. I don't mind. It's just, I earned a paycheck today. Okay, sometimes some people are in HR and, they don't genuinely have an interest. If you share your interests, to join the HR manager. If you share your interest to join to the HR manager's decision ultimately hers to take you. I'm thinking that what you're saying, and I hope you're not driving while you're sending this to me. Oh, it's a lot of politics. He said, was the politics involved? There are a lot of politics, but it's not politics just with HR. Like when I don't know, I can't remember if you said you already started working in HR or not, but there is politics in HR for the whole organization, especially if you go corporate. That's one reason I was searching for a company that was like smaller and more family oriented and stuff like that. And if I leave this organization, whenever I leave this organization, I really am probably either going to branch out by myself and do consulting again, or I will definitely go to a massive organization. Just make me a number. Let me get the work done. Because when you look at companies where it's like 100 to maybe 2,000 employees, there's so much politics because you'll think that's a lot of employees, but HR knows everyone and it becomes a chess game. And I hate it. Like, that is one reason I don't miss my last organization. I do miss a lot of things that they had. Now, I must admit, for the 4 years I was there, I was very blessed. But the politics was annoying. Like, I mean, and not just at that organization, it was so many places. When I worked in local government, it's odd because in local government, you work with politicians, right? It wasn't that much politics there. The rules were there. It was set and framed. So there's some politics on the leadership side, but not necessarily on the employee side. It's like, if you can do the job, come on, let's, watch you do the job. But for leaders, it was always like a whole brain scheme where you feeling like you like a genie in a bottle trying to figure out everybody's thoughts. If you don't want to do, hey, renewed mind, we're so happy to have you back. Sorry, Cardell, I jump around. Sorry, I'm a squirrel. But if you don't want to do politics, don't work in HR. I'm going to tell you right now, don't do it. Don't do it. It's going to have you many times second guessing your integrity. I'm going to just be honest with you. And I am very vocal. And I come from humble beginnings. And so I feel like ain't never nothing too low for me to go back to. And if that means I got to hustle my behind off till I can get back to the top, I'll take a chance. If that means I got to work 2, 3, 4 jobs, like I shouldn't say that because that's not right. But if I got to work 2, 3, 4 jobs, I don't care. I'll do it. Because what I'm not going to do, and I just told my last organization this, told my director and my CEO, I told them, what y'all asked me to do is change who I am. And that's something I can't do. Now, I will change and work on anything you want me to do. But if you ask me to mess with my integrity, my morals, and my values, now you're changing who I am. And at the end of the day, when I go to the maker, I want to make sure that I can get into the gate. I ain't going down the hell with them. All right, y'all. So thank you. I'm glad. Oh, so glad to have you back. I'm sorry you came on late. I actually have to get off. I'm already 2 minutes late. I have a meeting for church. So guys, next week on Thursday, and I better check the calendar before I tell y'all this because okay, so next week is the 29th, right? It's going to be July 29th. That's going to be my last live that I'm going to do weekly. Starting in August, I'm going to throw out 2 days in a month. Probably going to still be on Thursdays, but I'm probably going to go live every other week because this thing kicking my ass. I'm tired. So I'm going to go live only 2 to 3 times a month for the rest of this quarter. Going live is a quarter goal for Hey HR. And so until October 1st, I'll be going live every other week. Now, I can't tell y'all no lie. Let me change that. For the month of August, I'm going to do every other week. For the month of September, that they might get down to 1 time a month. I don't know. It's just because it's a lot. I mean, it's already considered another upload. So I really am uploading like 3 times a week. And this is a one-man show over here. And so definitely, I hope whatever questions y'all have, y'all are more than welcome to inbox me and with those questions, and I'll definitely do them on the lives. But I feel so bad I won't be on every week, but I definitely appreciate y'all's support. I appreciate y'all being on. I appreciate the questions, and I hope y'all have a great, great night. See y'all next time. Renew Mine and Brittany, y'all link together on LinkedIn, all right? Because he shares an interest in employee relations too, all right? I knew it was somebody else. Okay, y'all find each other on LinkedIn.